All right, well, that's right, folks. These guys used to be in the Central Coast. You know, this is a brand that I'm familiar with because I helped to bring them the Southern Wine and Spirits. Mark Estrin, one of the company's founders, called me up on the phone one day and said, Andrew, you know, just wondering what your suggestion would be for a distributor. And I called my good friend up, Jimmy Mansback, and hooked him up with Southern Wine and Spirits, the GEMS portfolio. These guys have been there ever since. They've had a great relationship, and these guys have developed, quite a successful winery project here from wines that originally were kind of overly concentrated, in my opinion, overly alcoholic. And even though I helped these guys out, you know, get their distributor down here, I wasn't crazy about the wines. But they were getting big Parker scores. And that's the only thing that's important to sell wine, right? Robert Parker scores. Well, you know, along the way, Carol Kemp, the winemaking side of this dynamic duo, decided, you know, maybe these aren't the wines for me. And the wines I had yesterday, very different from the first offerings from Red Car. Well, a lot of things have changed here. Mark Estrin passed away from cancer, I think in 2005 or 2006, and they moved the project from the Central Coast all the way up to the Sonoma Coast, and then they bought an estate vineyard up there in 2005. 2009, their vineyard yielded its first fruit, and they're also using fruit from a selection of different vineyards throughout this new label that they've created called Boxcar, Red Car, Boxcar. Now, they used to have, both these guys were from the film industry. They used to have a different label every year, and they had a story on the labels. And although that works for a 50-case production or, 150-case production, it's hard to do market and sell on a yearly basis. You know, that really confuses consumers when the label and the story changes on the wine every year. We want to see a consistent product. And this Boxcar has fit in that $20 to $30 retail price range, whereas the Red Car wines, $50 to $60, has been kind of a tough sell for a lot of these little niche producers, especially Syrah. Pinot Noir still pretty much on fire from the sideways phenomenon. But let's get to the wine here. We had Paul Segura in, the Director of Sales and Viticulture. Kind of interesting title for somebody at a winery. Are you Director of Sales and Viticulture? Okay. Well, the guy knows a little bit about farming also. Let's just say that. I really like, the whole group here at Red Car. Very impressive portfolio of personalities as well as wines. So the 2008 Boxcar Sonoma Coast Chardonnay, the first wine. Well, I hadn't had Chardonnay from these guys before. And, $20 Chardonnay from California, dime a dozen to me, but nice little wine, good amount of toasted yolk, a little nutty component to the wine, ripe tropical fruit, apples and pears, nice amount of ripe tropical fruit showing through on the palate, some oak spice, some good freshness, but again, so much Chardonnay out there. Well, Pinot Noir was a little more interesting from the Sonoma Coast to me, but very little hint of pickling spice to this '09 vintage, and it's funny because I was touting this '09 vintage so highly, and man, I really like '08 and '07. Outstanding. So I don't know about '09. Maybe still be just a little bit young. Some fresh earth and herbal notes also showing through that black cherry fruit. Some nice black raspberry fruit showing on the palate with that nice perfumed herbal kind of note showing all the way to the finish. Pretty fresh and bright. Like I said, they've changed the style of these wines so they're a little more European in style, a little lower in alcohol. Well, hey, the Boxcar Pinot Noir Sonoma Coast. Even though that wine said it was, the Red Car, Pinot Noir Sonoma Coast, even though it said it was 14.5 on the label, the wine was about 13.7 actually, and had that really nice savoriness on the finish that you get from Burgundy. And this wine's pretty classic vintage, cooler, but supposedly, again, excellent for Pinot Noir and Chardonnay. Good hand of floral spice to the bouquet here, bright raspberry and cherry fruit. A note of green tea showing there. As I mentioned, the alcohol in this Boxcar or Red Car Pinot Noir a little lighter than even the Boxcar, but nice structure, nice depth on the palate with some spice and maybe a hint of green there showing on the finish, a little bit of green tea, but really nice little Pinot Noir. The Boxcar Syrah, one of the categories that's kind of been heard a little bit in California. This was Food and Wine Syrah of the Year. Does that help you out? I guess it's got to help you out a little bit, being Food and Wine Syrah of the Year. The second time, I think this winery has won this award. I don't know if anyone has won that 2 times. But some nice plummy, jammy fruit on the nose with some pretty floral highlights, a hint of black pepper spice, and a little bit of that Sauvage Animal that you get from the Northern Rhone. Nice savoriness on the palate with lovely ripe black plum fruit, dark cherry, and smooth tannins with perky acidity showing up on the finish. A really nice, fresh style of Syrah. All right, next up, the Red Car Syrah. So you get it? Boxcar, Red Car. Boxcar, Red Car. All right, just want to make sure you guys are getting the right reviews here. But Pinot Noir, like heat in the summer. Syrah likes heat later in the season. Things ripen up at the end. It maintains the acidity better. In 2006, a little rough for Pinot in that respect, but great for Syrah as this 2008 vintage was. You get a bit of tobacco spice, black pepper, and some lovely fresh plowed earth to the nose here with some fine herbs. A complex bouquet there with some lovely black plum and cherry fruit, also dark cocoa. Really nice bouquet there. A lot of chewy fruit on the tongue. Really nice balance and good freshness though through the finish. Lovely nuance there. This was my pick of the bunch. Really nice, this Syrah from 08 from Red Car. All right, well, next up, speaking of wines with winemakers with a passion, we've got Jason Moore, a guy that moved from Texas to California to make wine.